Welcome into Texans Today. Today we're going to be breaking down some offensive line targets. Texans had a couple of visits with offensive linemen throughout the draft process. One came in for a private workout, so I'll tell you who that is in today's show. But first, we're almost here. We're almost to the 2024 NFL Draft, and I don't want to take any chances. So go down and like today's video. If you don't want the Texans to draft a bust at pick 42, hey, you don't want to be that guy that's like, dang, the Texans, they drafted a absolute bust at 42, and all I should have done is like the video. All you got to do is hit that thumbs up icon, and the Texans, they're going to get a superstar at pick 42. Go down and hit that like button. Now, DeMeco Ryans, throughout this whole draft process, throughout the entire offseason, said he really wants to build in the trenches on both sides of the ball. We saw that in free agency with the defensive line, with the signings of Danico Autry, Foley Fatukasi, and Danielle Hunter. Now, will we see some more firepower on the offensive side of the football, the offensive line, the big boys on the O-line? This is what the depth chart, I would say, looks like right now. The only unsure spot for me, Titus Howard is a little bit of a over there on right tackle. He was injured a lot last year, but center and left guard is where I really focus. Juice Scruggs, Kenyon Green, and Jarrett Patterson, what are they going to do with those three guys? And do the Texans feel comfortable with the guys they have right now on this offensive line? I'm not 100% sold on it. Now, the Texans, they brought in a ton of guys on visits, and today with my Texans offensive line targets, I based it on player visits as well as their skill and the projected round that they're going to be going in the 2024 NFL Draft. I put together a list of guys that I would be okay with in certain areas of the draft, and let's get right into it. As Jordan Morgan came in for a private visit, I have him as a round 2 candidate. Now, these guys, I would say with one of your first 2 picks, I would feel comfortable with taking any of these guys. Jackson Powers Johnson in the latest Mel Kiper Field Yates mock draft made it all the way to 44. So past the Texans pick, they're at 42. Now, very well, he could go earlier than that. But all these guys, I think, are guys that can really help this Texans offensive line. And the Texans would have to get them with their first 2 picks, with one of those round 2 picks, either 42 or at 59. Jordan Morgan from Arizona, Kingsley Suamataia from BYU, Cooper Beebe from Kansas State, and Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. So the question then goes to you folks at home. Will the Texans draft an offensive lineman in round 2? In my opinion, if they want to get any of those guys, it's got to be with one of their second-round picks. Do you think that would be a smart move, though, for the Texans? Let me know down in the comments section. Type D for draft, type P for pass. Will the Texans draft an offensive lineman in round 2? I don't think it's absolutely crazy to go O-line in round 2. You can never have enough big guys up the middle. And if you learn anything from free agency, you can sign edge rushers. You can sign wide receivers, trade for wide receivers. How many big-name offensive linemen do you see hit free agency, hit the trade market? Not a lot. The biggest name that I can think of that was recently traded was Trent Williams, but that was for unforeseen circumstances in the fact that he hated the Washington organization and wanted to get out. But, besides that, you don't see a lot of amazing offensive linemen hit free agency. So if the Texans were there sitting there at 42, and they absolutely love Jordan Morgan, who they brought in for a private workout, I could see them possibly taking the 6'5", 325-pound tackle from Arizona, who can also play guard as well. Last season, 87.3 PFF grade, 1 sack allowed for the Bearcats there in Arizona. Also, another guy that they've looked into, that they had brought in for a top 30 visit, Kingsley Suamataia from BYU. I might have butchered the last name. I'm really trying, Kingsley. I will get it perfect before the draft. I promise you that. But another bigger guy who can possibly fill a hole either at left guard or maybe at right tackle. I'm not sure. Both these guys have the flex capability of playing tackle, playing guard as well. And coming up, I have some more Texans offensive line draft targets, maybe a little bit later in the draft, going into the middle rounds coming up, but I couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsors over at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. And you want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players like Meek Mill and Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries and some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. Testing my skills on PrizePicks is the most exciting way to deliver fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. And I would say, you know what? These plays for the NBA play-in, it is an exciting time. I know the Rockets are out of it, but if you want to possibly go with some NBA plays, this is one of our guys here at Chat Sports who put in an NBA prize picks. Hey, you can use his picks. You can fade his picks. Just do it over at PrizePicks. Once again, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. Now, here are my round 2, round 3 candidates, maybe even into round 4 with a guy like Patrick Paul. But all these guys could be there after the Texans' first pick. I don't anticipate the Texans selecting any of these guys with 42, maybe at 59. But I have Roger Rosengarten out of Washington, Patrick Paul from Houston. What up, Cougs? Christian Mahogany from Boston College, and Christian Haynes from Uconn. They brought in Rosengarten from Washington on a top 30 visit, 6'6", 300 pounds. I mean, was protecting Michael Penix's blind side. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Was a right tackle throughout college, but he was the blind side guy for that offense in Washington. So a really decent option if you're not trying to go offensive tackle, offensive line with your first pick in round 2. Another guy the Texans brought in on a top 30 visit, Christian Mahogany from Boston College. I mean, love a guy with glasses, right? 6'3", 322 pounds, 82.2 PFF grade this past season for the Golden Eagles. Mahogany could be a good option there at left guard if they don't trust Kenyon Green or Juice Scruggs. And another guy, a local guy, Patrick Paul from U of H. More of a left tackle, but has played really, really well for the Cougs. I mean, as a guy who you can draft and have as a swing option, if you can get Patrick Paul in round 3, round 4, I wouldn't mind that at all. You can never have enough really good offensive linemen on your roster. And what did we see last year from this Texans team? Guys were dropping like flies. I mean, how many different combinations of offensive lines did we see last year? I mean, the only mainstays were really Laramie Tunsil and Shaq Mason, and Laramie Tunsil even got hurt for a couple of games. So adding some depth to this offensive line is a big need, in my opinion, right after, the top needs that you have maybe on the defensive side, like a corner or safety, maybe defensive line as well. But speaking of Laramie Tunsil, he's a great left tackle. Patrick Paul played left tackle at U of H. But where would you rank Laramie Tunsil among NFL left tackles? I was having a debate with some guys in the office, and I was saying, hey, I think he's number 1. I mean, when you take age into consideration, take how he's played the past couple of years. I mean, since he's been in Houston, I know people make fun of the Texans for trading all those assets to get him, but I think going into this year, he might be number 1 on my list of left tackles in the NFL. Where would you rank Tunsil going into this season as it comes to left tackles? Let me know down in the comments section. As we go to our late round, guys, rounds 4 through 7. I was going to split this up more, but I feel like you never know with these guys if they could go in round 4 or maybe even slide all the way to round 7. I have Limmer out of Arkansas, Jalen Sundell from North Dakota State, Travis Glover from Georgia State, Zach Zinter from Michigan, and Frank Crum from Wyoming. Now, a couple of these guys they brought in, Travis Glover from Georgia State, a big guy, 6'6", 323 pounds, allowed 3 sacks last year, 80.8 PFF grade over at Georgia State. A later round guy, I mean, doing their due diligence and just saying, hey, who are some guys who maybe we can steal? Maybe not like a power 5 offensive tackle, but maybe somebody who's sneaking around, who maybe a diamond in the rough in round 6. I could see Travis Glover being a late round pick for the Texans team. Same with Jalen Sundell, somebody who the Texans met with at the East-West Shrine Bowl from North Dakota State. Now, obviously, another guy not in a power conference, but 82.9 PFF grade last season, 1 sack allowed for the Bisons. He's a big dude, too, 6'5", 301 pounds. Maybe a decent option for the Texans in round 6, round 7 if they haven't picked up an offensive lineman. Now, That's all I have for you on today's show. Let me know, who did I miss on the offensive line? Who are you like, I can't believe you didn't have that guy on the list? Let me know down in the comments section who I need to be looking at, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And as always, go down and hit that subscribe button. We are so close to the 2024 NFL Draft, and we will be breaking down everything you need to know around the Houston Texans and the 2024 NFL Draft. Every single pick, analysis, letting you know the latest rumors around the team. We got you covered here. The best Texans channel on YouTube. Go down and hit that sub button.